Hello everybody, my name is Jared and today I'm going to be doing a speed paint. I will go into what this speed paint is going to be about in a moment, but first of all, if you are new to my channel, welcome. I have had a few different new followers joining us, so if you're new, let me explain what we do here. This is one of my art videos. I do also do cosplay content. I also make Disney vlogging content. I go to Disneyland quite a lot because I work for the Disney company. I won't say specifically what I do for the Disney company because I would rather separate my real life from my online life, but all in all, you will be seeing content on those three things really. We will be speaking today about the films It and the book, and specifically two characters called Richie and Eddie. And I will be going into why I specifically like these characters a little bit further on, but first of all, I just want to explain my background with the films and book and so on. I am a big Stephen King fan. I myself do not read a lot, but my partner reads to me. I am dyslexic and that does make my life a lot easier, and it also means that we can do something as a couple and enjoy the books together and things like that. We're both big fans of Stephen King, and I had never actually read It. I went to see the first It film and hopelessly fell in love with it. I thought it was a really, really good take on a book I had heard a lot of polarizing opinions on, and again I'll address that, but I really enjoyed it. I thought all of the characters were amazing. I thought that the kids played the characters incredibly and they did an amazing job with the roles that they were given, and yeah, I just really, really liked them. Particularly my favourite characters were Eddie and were Bill. I really liked both of those two. Now I'm going to explain here that I'm not an enormous fan of shipping with real live action films. I'm not a huge fan of live action shipping. I don't know why. I don't really get into it very often. Occasionally ships do take my interest, but I'm not a huge fan of that. I do think that this ship is really cute, and the fact that it has some canon basis, spoilers for the second film, I thought was really interesting, especially because it was not something that actually super existed in the book from what we've got from reading the book. But I really liked how they came across in the film, and I actually liked a lot about their characterization in book and film. I thought their dynamic was really interesting and really cute. And yeah, so this is why I'm creating some REDDIE ship art, because they were cute, and it was one of the few times I've been drawn towards real live action character shipping. I also think these characters have really interesting character designs considering they are live action. Not specifically about interesting as in the way the kids look, interesting as in how they've designed their costumes and things like that. They really make them stand out, which is great for artists because it makes it really obvious who you're drawing when you're drawing them. Instead of some live action films, it can be really hard to tell specifically who the characters are, especially if it's very stylized. And onto why I like the book. I really enjoy how surreal it is as a book. It's just a really, really interesting read. It is quite a hard read as far as we've decided. We were reading it and some sections of it are very, very, very long-winded, and especially the beginning. The beginning is very, very long-winded, but it definitely paces better as it goes along, and I really, really enjoy that book. It is one of the few really long books where I would probably read it again with my partner. And as I said, I do find every single character in it very charming and very funny, and they all have their own little quirks that makes them interesting. I think the quirks that make them interesting were portrayed really well in the film adaptation as well. I think they lent into the things that made all of the characters interesting without going too hard onto the stereotypical issues that come up in the actual book. In the book, there is also a lot more very problematic things that happen in it. I won't really go into those very much. Everybody knows about the scenes that I'm talking about and the words that are used in them. As to artistically, I obviously used references for the faces and costumes of the characters. The two actors, I don't know their full names, I am sorry, who play Richie and Eddie, they have very distinct features, so I wanted to capture their features and make sure that they look at least somewhat like them, but still stylized in my style. And obviously I wanted their costumes to be things that they've actually worn. I wanted them to stand out as being themselves, and it to be very obvious when you see the artwork what the artwork is of. Particular things, stuff like Richie's glasses are a really distinct thing that he has, and Eddie's cast that's on his arm, again, very distinct signifiers. I also set it in the cave at the end, so the cave that's inside the sewers. Again, I just wanted it to be iconic to what was happening, especially with the adult versions of them that are at the bottom there. Again, this is a big spoiler for It Chapter 2, but in the part where Eddie dies, I wanted to be having that going on with sort of this image of the kids watching it, and I did want the kids obviously very close and next to each other. I didn't want it like an overt, like, couple-y sort of pose. I just wanted that, like, closest of a relationship to be them standing together, and then down at the bottom is Richie mourning over Eddie, because I thought that moment was really, really beautiful and well handled in the new film. I am actually really pleased with how the faces came out, particularly of the kids. I think that they look very much like the actors. I'm very pleased with that, and I do think this artwork is really cute. I would probably have worked a little bit harder on the background if I had a little bit more time on it, but I did want to finish this one quite quickly after the film came out and just get that artwork out there. I'll address, by the way, that It Chapter 1 and 2, the most recent ones, they are not actually the first coming of the It franchise to film. The previous one I don't have a strong opinion on, I'm going to be honest. I think it was fun when it came out, and I think it is an interesting recreation. It's, in my opinion, probably more true to the book, but I think that It Chapter 1 and 2, the most recent ones, have, I don't know, a lot more appeal to a broader audience, and definitely to the current generation of people watching these films. I think it has a lot of appeal, and it is incredibly acted and incredibly scary in some parts. That is obviously down to opinion, but I think that some parts of it are really very frightening. As to why I like Eddie, I particularly like Eddie. I have personal reasons why I relate to him a little bit as a character, but otherwise I think he's a really, really funny character. I enjoy the progress he makes through the book and through the films. I think it's really, really funny whenever he kicks back against the issues that he struggles with, and I just think he has a brilliant personality. Particularly, I absolutely love how both of the actors who played him in the newer films have portrayed him. I think that he's really, really funny, and they really lent into how sassy and weird he is in the book. I think he's very well written. I think he's a really, really interesting character, and he's not a character that you often come across. His flaws that he has are not often covered in films, and if they are, they're usually portrayed in quite an evil way. So it's very nice to see a character like that not being treated like they would be a villain or a bad guy. I will also say, just because I don't particularly have an interest in, most of the time, live action shipping and things like that, and maybe if I've ever insinuated that I don't particularly like certain ships and things like that, I don't want people to be upset about that, or to think that I wouldn't like them because they do like that thing. I honestly am very much a person who's, you do what makes you happy and just enjoy yourself. So no shipping hate here. If you enjoy something ship-wise that I don't particularly enjoy, that's your own business, and I wish you well with it. This is an absolutely no hate channel. We're very, very chill here. All of this was created on Photoshop. I have absolutely no idea which copy of Photoshop I have. I am very sorry. If anyone can recognize it, please comment in the thing below, because I'm currently not on my Mac, so I have no idea. I'm very sorry. But I have a Wacom tablet. I am honestly more at the moment using Procreate on the iPad to draw, but I do usually use Photoshop at least to finish off things a lot of the time as well, so I recommend Photoshop a lot. I really enjoy it, and the Photoshop suite is really very much worth the money. And this entire thing is done on Photoshop. I didn't do any pre-sketching in my sketchbook. I have done a few, as I said, reference studies of their faces and stuff in my sketchbook previously, but that was just to kind of get the hang of how to draw them. I recommend doing that if you're going to draw a real person anyway. But yeah, so those are my tools. I'm afraid there's not very many interesting ones. I literally just use Photoshop on default brushes and things like that. So if anyone is wondering about how I do the shading, because a lot of people ask how I do it because it's very quick, what I'm actually doing is I have the shading on a multiply layer and I have it as a very, very, very pale shade of purple, and I just do all of the shading the exact same. It's all on clipping mask as well. That's basically how I do all of my shading, especially if I'm trying to be quick. Sometimes if I'm doing like a real person's study and stuff, I'll use actually selecting colours, but if you're just doing a cell shaded image, that's a very good, very fast way of doing it. And now to talk about where I've been, because I know a lot of people have been messaging saying that they missed me and were hoping I would come back, which is very, very sweet, and I really appreciate that. I have just been incredibly busy. I did comment in response to somebody who commented on it, explaining that I was promoted at my work, and that at my work I am currently doing a great deal more than I was. I am working a lot. I was working full-time over the Christmas period. I was very, very, very busy, and I didn't really have any time spare. All I really had time to do was to draw and spend time with my husband, well, fiance. So yeah, that is pretty much all I've been doing for the time I've been away. I've been spending a lot of time at work, I've been spending some time on my art, and I've been spending a lot of time with my fiance. I have also gone on holiday a couple of times. We went to Disneyland Paris twice in the time that I've been away. We went to, one of them was for Halloween and one was for Christmas. If people do still want to see those videos, I will put them up, but I haven't had time to edit them, so they might be obviously a little bit late. But you know, if you do want to see that content, let me know. And some cool news, I am going to be opening an online store in 2020. I will be selling some of my artwork, I will be selling some charms that I've been working on, some other artwork things as well. Just sort of watch the space. I will be linking on my YouTube channel when that stuff is all up and running. I will be putting a lot of content up. I'm going away to Florida, so I'm going to be logging that, and there'll be lots of cosplay content as well coming up. I am currently working on a couple of different projects, as well as I'm going to be working on another how to cosplay video, which is going to be the detailed deconstruction video. As always, thank you very, very much for watching, and please remember to be creepy. And happy 2020!